You know, the Kabisky response on the overlay district was, if the township is gonna put solar in commercial only, you wouldn't need a solar overlay district, because it's going into commercial only. So, the board came up with, they would like to see it in commercial, and the commercial area that it covers would be 20%. So, you would have a commercial, spot of land, and in that commercial spot of land, whatever it is, how many acres, 20% of land mass is all that they would like to see in the solar. In the setbacks, they're looking for at least what extraction is now. So the extraction setbacks, the land mass at 20%, and commercial zoned properties. That's what,
So you're gonna take, let's see, 20.
if you had 100 acres, you'd get 20 acres. If you had 100 acres zoned commercial, you would get 20 acres. And in that 20 acres, all the setbacks would be at least what extraction ordinance setbacks
I
are.
understand that piece of it.
Okay.
Now, you just created an 80-acre commercial piece of property, correct? Is that correct?
I didn't create anything.
In your statement,
In my statement, I said commercial.
you said, I take 100 acres, and I take 20 of it, and use that for solar.
Yep,
So that means 80 acres is commercial.
yep.
So that means that I can have a Ford Motor Company come in and
Whatever that would mean in a commercial zoning, I guess that's what it would be.
And so you want London Township to become a big commercial project.
I mean, if we just let solar go over the 100 acres, that'd be a commercial project also, I
These
guess.
people are looking for 1,500.
But I'm getting at is. if
Well,
you're
I'm
saying-
telling you what the board told me to bring back to the planning commission. I'm one of 5 people on that board, Leroy. I am one of 7 people here. I am the liaison that has been going back and forth with this for a couple of years now. And I try to do my best here, take it back to the board. I listen to what the board says, I bring it back here. Now, they're telling me commercial, 20% of commercial, and setbacks at least what extraction is. So whatever that means to whomever, that's what I brought back to the planning commission.
I personally,
What's that? I didn't really. I don't know.
Not much.
I have no idea. I don't know what properties are zoned commercial and what properties aren't.
There aren't.
Sea
Because
breeze.
essentially there's not, that's the catch.
Seabreeze is commercial, and
Is it?
so is the property across the street, all 4 corners are.
half the stores in London Township and half in Exeter.
Yeah.
So you're saying 20% of that is all?
That's what I've got written down, Leroy. Commercial, 20% land mass of that commercial, and the setbacks will be at least that of extraction. The board put a 6-month moratorium on it that started August 14th, I believe that.
Rezoned, then they can only put up 20 acres of solar. Am I understanding what the township board said?
That's what I have written down, Leroy.
And can the
That's-
agricultural land get turned into commercial?
I don't know.
Well,
It has to-
I'm sure it can. You'd have to come before the board to get turned to commercial. It would get taxed different, it would get pulled out at P 116. This all started because the state said, and I'm sure there's people who think I'm all gun ho for this. I really don't care to see a solar panel across the street from my house, okay? But in the world we live in, I figure it's coming, let's be reasonable about this. And, to me, if a guy wants to put his 80-acre farm in, to send his kid to law school or something, and he's paid the property taxes, he's made the payments, he should be able to do that, because I personally believe in property rights. And we had said, I was in favor of early on, that would have to be in agricultural 1 or 2 lands. That's obviously the only area that they're looking for is across the street from my house to get hooked into them tie lines. So I thought that the mission of this planning commission would be to create a zone, a zoning ordinance that would keep it clean. We talked about buffers, so the setbacks can be varied, but on an 80-acre farm, you move the setback back 100 foot, you take away a lot of property. And if the solar array itself is fenced and it has a green berm to cover so that we couldn't see it in a few years when everything grew, then I guess I was in favor of it. To me, this is to say it's gotta be commercial is unreasonable. I'm not saying that it's fair for everybody to feel however they feel. I feel this township struggled enough. You're gonna open the township up to some lawsuits. I originally said, and I think it was in our ordinance, that we just go ag land and say A1, A2, because ag land, I would prefer to see it in some of the poor agriculture ground up the center of the township, where you can't hardly raise cane with a fifth of whiskey, it's such poor ground. That'd be the perfect place to put a solar array, but that's not where they're interested, because they wanna tie into the power lines. The other thing is if you create an ordinance and put it over there, like our past zoning administrator had drawn, then you've said them people can do this, but people in the middle of the township can't. And we have some people in the middle of the township that have the perfect ground to do it, that I don't think are super well off. They're not worrying about their hedge funds. They should have the opportunity to do this as well. And there's
some pretty good power lines that go to, I don't know, where do the power lines come to you? They come across the end of, makes a big turn and go up North Custer, okay?
So, and
There's the power lines right there.
I'm not sure how big the power line's gotta be in order for them to set their station up in order to feed the grid. I mean, I don't understand any of that, but I hear
This
what
was
they
like
were
on
looking
the
for.
corner of Ostrander and. is that
Between
Farms?
Ostrander and Snell, between my house and, then it'll affect the tax base all
Farmland.
the way around it.
It's not farmland if it's got solar panels on it. If it was farmland, I'd be growing wheat or corn.
But but the rest of it, if it's zoned that way,
Yeah,
you have that exposure.
I guess you have that same opportunity to grow corn or wheat or whatever you're gonna grow on there, beans, hay.
I'm just proposing my.
I'm just bringing back to this.
Well, this is a few months ago, but still, the majority of these are industrial. So for us to do commercial, I feel like that's even being less stringent than some of these other townships. These other ones are doing the exact same thing. Berlin Township, industrial zone solar, so it's not like we're the first ones to come up with this commercial idea. We could say industrial, which I think that would even be more
Yeah,
difficult.
they'd be more restrictive.
More restrictive. I feel commercial is kind of meeting.
And at least speak your piece and tell everybody why that's a great idea to put it in Ag 1, Ag 2 with minimal setbacks and go from there.
A lot of times, most of the time, the planning commission has, I'm not stopping the outcome, because I just wonder how they went about it, how they feel comfortable doing it without affecting the next door neighbor. okay? Is my property value is gonna go up because I have a solar panel next door? Is it gonna go down? Well, most people say it's gonna go down. But is that part of the equation that those people look at when they come up with their solution? Or whether I agree with their solution or not is immaterial.
I don't know, this is what I can tell you, Leroy, I don't know the ingredients that it took to make that cake, but when they pulled it out and set it on the counter, I see a cake. I don't know what ingredients or what processes they used for their ingredients there. You might be able to find them in the minutes, but I see what that cake looks like now that it's sitting on the counter. And if it's saying industrial, that's what I'm just going with what I see.
Well,
Was it industrial or commercial?
Industrial.
Commercial.
Doesn't-
I mean, we're talking.
We are
We're
talking commercial.
Which is
But they-
less than industrial.
The board wants,
What else besides the commercial and the setbacks extraction?
They said commercial, 20% of land mass on the commercial, and the setbacks at least what,
extractions.
extraction was. And I know we're not gonna fix it tonight, and it's not gonna be a done deal tonight, and it probably won't be a done deal next month, or maybe even a month after that. It seems that Leroy's gonna do some, investigation for us and maybe come up with some,
I should be the only one.
No, you're right.
and no, you shouldn't.
I mean, I've done enough of this for the next
I agree with you 100%.
I'm the one that dug out the Summerfield thing about
Right.
stuff there because I ran across that when I was reading.
And we added the Summerfield stuff to the last draft we did.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
somebody
we're
else-
down to setbacks and overlay, I guess, is what I thought.
Well, there's really no overlay.
Well, right.
Kibisky's,
And the way I talked about it in the beginning, I pictured it with no necessary overlay for the same reason.
Kibisky's response was, how would you have an overlay if it's gonna be commercial only?
So did Kibitsky not consider the fact that it would be an ag land? Because that was actually what,
Well, that's why the board at that time, before they sent it to Kibisky, I think you guys voted on putting it in commercial. I believe that's what they did. So they decided that before they sent it to Kibisky, so they weren't just spinning the wheels. 'Cause
Right.
I was at that meeting.
okay.
Or we might have to adjust the master plan because that might violate some stuff in the master plan too. So that would be something else that would have to be looked at before you can actually do something.
I thought the master plan basically states trying to keep the township as much agricultural as possible for the most part.
Well,
We know
But then
that
you
it-
change land to commercial, you have worked against the master plan. So, I left mine at home. I'm glad to see you brought it with you in your condensed version, you know?
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
impressed.
look, and, you know, I bought this and this
All right.
for your viewing pleasure, if you were so inclined to take a look at either one.
All right, so is that where we're at on that for now?
That's what I brought back to the board, Mr. Chairman.
We need to keep,
Well, thank you for doing a
yep.
spectacular job.
Didn't sound like it 10 minutes ago.
No,
And we're still friends.
I'm just trying to understand in my mind how we're gonna handle this, because guess what? After we decided, we're gonna have a room full of people to explain why we came up with that solution. That's all I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing, Leroy. We've had a room full of
I
people
understand.
on a lot of occasions. And a lot of occasions have either been water or solar. Take your pick, you know? Because you're gonna get about half of the room is gonna want it one way, the other half is gonna want it the other way. And it's up to the planning commission and the board to justify their decisions that they have made in their decision-making process and come up with something that is fair to everyone. That's what you can do, and that's all we can do as a planning commission.
Well, that's what I'm
You
getting
know?
to. You're gonna have to do something to convince me this is a good idea. That's,
Yeah. I'm looking for direction, why
Well,
this is good.
I mean,
Right.
they can say they want to do it, but I see so many pitfalls in trying to.
Well,
accomplish it.
I'll look for those pitfalls at the next planning commission meeting that you come up with, that you speak of, so many pitfalls. And what I'll do is I'll take that back to the board in,
November. Well,
October.
Well, my major pitfall right now is, and it's from them, is what are they gonna do with the 80%?
What are they gonna do with it?
Yeah. What's
What do you
gonna
mean they?
happen? When you define something, you say I'm taking 20% of something.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did, okay. you
yeah, if
said-
you're gonna rezone a property and only allow. the
You don't have to
property-
rezone anything. If you, the landowner, wanna rezone that property and take
We're not-
20% of it and put it in solar panels, nobody is forcing you to rezone that property. That's totally up to you. So if you wanna go ahead and do that and make that charge, because you're the landowner and those are your property rights, correct?
And I'd put in the
Correct?
lease, I'd put in the lease that you could farm that other 80%. I mean, I would just be, I mean,
But
I would
that's
at
not
least say
the
20%.
situation, you just got done rezoning the whole parcel.
No, the landowner got done rezoning the whole parcel.
Doesn't matter, it's rezoned, okay? 2 days later, the landowner dies, it's still gonna be commercial.
So you're saying that we should allow it to be, what percent, 80%?
I don't know.
Well, if we do, then why can't he do a pond at 80% now?
Why don't we stick with one thing?
Well, I'm just, I mean, if we got a problem with 20% here, but I'm
don't
sure that
have
some
a
of these
problem
other
with
ones would probably not have a
20%.
problem digging a
What I'm
pond the whole
having a
entire.
problem with
With
It's the other
changing a
piece.
bunch
the
of,
other 80%.
yeah, taking a parcel that's been agriculturally zoned ever since there was the beginning of zoning, and perhaps in a farm for 100 years, and rezoning the whole thing.
My question is, why you would take a farm that's been there for 100 years and try to grow a solar panel?
I
Because I
don't-
think those are pretty tough to chew on. I'm just saying. So if that landowner thinks it's worth it to rezone his property and to use 20% of that for solar panels, being his land and his property rights, that's totally up to him, correct? Because I'm pretty sure I heard that tonight. If he's the landowner and that's what he wants to do, tear it up. This is the direction I got from the board that I brought back. If you've got those questions, I would absolutely encourage you to go to the next board meeting and bring those up, Leroy.
But I don't think they're the people that are gonna answer the
Right.
question. We, as a planning commission, have to answer that question.
Well, those are the people that directed me to come back with that
Understand,
information.
but we still, if they want us to do that, we have to figure out a way to make it happen. Just by saying, okay, we're gonna rezone that to whatever, is that really the proper way to go about it?
So I got a question for you. I got a question for the rest of the planning commission. What message do you want me to take back to the board?
Nothing.
Oh,
Serious.
I'm gonna tell you, that is not the right answer, Leroy. I'm gonna tell you, I am not gonna take nothing back to the board when they
You're
ask
asking
me
tonight.
about this solar panel stuff.
I want a little bit more information before I ask you to do something.
I would tell them, or ask them, let them know that we're digging into it a little bit deeper, we want some more answers.
The way I look at it is we're the planning commission, they're telling us this is what they want, it's our job to find out a way to make it happen, not their
That's my
job.
point.
They're telling us these are what we want,
I
it's
understand.
your job, so why would we send it back and tell them, we need you to tell us what to do? Then-
No.
Well, then I'm confused here. They don't- they don't-
I'm just asking what message you would like me to take back, because I am telling you, I'm gonna get that question. I'm getting
Doing
that
more
question.
research. I have a real problem with making it rezone commercial.
Okay,
So, and that's my position. You've known where I stood from the start.
yeah,
And I absolutely don't really want any solar panels anyway.
well, I am telling you, the board's got a real problem with Ag 1 and Ag too.
Make them
And that's what I'm gonna tell you.
Well, I think we can solve the situation rather than start fighting back and forth, because we do have a month or two to look at this.
Yeah,
It was-
absolutely.
It might have been
Yeah, they put a
nice.
moratorium in place to give us time.
That's right. You got 6 months, it started, August 14th.
I suggest we just,
We have
motion to
something
table
for-
this.
We don't-
Leroy's gonna be doing some investigating.
We had some discussions. so
Absolutely.
We can just go on to the next one.
I think that's where we stand. I think we all agree with that one, so I'll make a motion to table the solar ordinance.
And what I'm gonna take back to the board is, we've got some planning commissioners that are gonna be doing some investigation on some neighboring, municipalities to see exactly what they have.
Okay. So there's nothing else on that subject? You don't really need a motion. The next thing on the agenda would be the second citizens' time then.
No, go ahead, here, Dan.
We'll just start in front and work our way back.
Oh, well,
No, go ahead.
okay.
You guys both kind of.
After listening to this banner about the solar thing, and it's one of the people that comes to this meeting, I don't go to the township board meeting often, but comes here, you know, commercial seems reasonable. 80% sitting idle, that's only 20% being usable is unreasonable. But I don't understand that. Why not be able to use 80% and idle 20? It's like asking Ag Industries to, well, you can only dig up 20%. It's unreasonable.
Who said you had to let it set idle?
Okay, it's zoned commercial and you can only use 20% for,
The reason you rezoned it.
okay, so,
And there's nobody that's coming to your front door going, hey, we're gonna take that from you, and this is how we want it zoned.
okay,
And-
Darryl, I'm not debating it with you, I'm just telling you how I feel, okay?
That's fair.
Right,
It's been debated enough, I'm just
I
giving you
have.
input from my perspective. Okay, so 20% can be used for solar panels and the rest is negotiable. It's unreasonable. And it should be commercial anyways, because it's not ag. And I fully believe in landowner's rights, so if I'm solar panels, I'm sure we can get it done
there you go,
as a landowner.
there you go.
That's all I got.
Okay.
I won't touch on the 80%, 20% stuff, I think you guys know what we would say. I just was curious if there's gonna be any more solar workshops, I know through the summer, we've been working through those. I was just curious if there was any thought to that, if there was any intention, just so I know for my own schedule.
Can you state your name for me?
My name's Colin Kummerfeld with Apex Clean Energy, sorry.
From where?
Apex Clean Energy, Azalea Solar.
Do you have an answer to that? Are we getting any more workshops on that?
Well, certainly not this summer, seeing how summer will be over in 2 weeks.
Well, I just mean, I guess moving forward, sorry, yeah.
Fair enough, fair
I
enough.
thought I would answer the
That's why you
question
didn't answer
directly.
that.
I guess we gotta do some digging, so we'll talk about if we're gonna put a workshop together next month, but we're certainly not gonna set one up now. And then we'll be in October, November, there'll be a couple of us that'll be a little busy. We gotta get it figured out. Yes, sir.
Last month I was in here talking about the Gerard project,